Hi, I'm Paola Tez, and today we're diving into a case that started with a disturbing video that spiraled into international manhunt and ended with a killer that seemed desperate for one thing overall: attention. For years, a Facebook group was convinced that something far worse was coming, and most people ignored the warning signs. But they didn't. This is a story of how online investigators helped expose one of the internet's most notorious criminals, Luka Magnotta. So, grab a drink of choice, settle in, and let's follow the thread. Before we begin, please note that this case contains discussions of animal abuse, violence, and disturbing content that some viewers may find upsetting. While I won't be showing any videos or images, the events described may be difficult to hear, so viewer discretion is advised. Also, this is a Canadian case, so if I mistake a name or some sort of fact, please kindly correct me in the comment section below. Luka Magnotta was born Eric Clinton Kirk Newman on July 24th, 1982 in Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. His upbringing was marked by severe isolation, domestic instability, and early mental health challenges. He was homeschooled by his mother, which basically meant that he didn't have any interactions with other children. His mother and father, Anna and Douglas, were super young parents, but they were alcoholics and had a list of psychological issues. His mother was a big germaphobe and was subjecting the children to neglect and cruelty at the hands of her control. Magnotta was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia as a teenager, and he began to hear voices and was treated at multiple psychiatric facilities and group homes in Ontario starting in the late 1990s. He did not attend formal school until about high school, where he was bullied due to his inability to socialize. Basically, he was an outcast, which a lot of people are, right? This doesn't give you an excuse to go to the extremes and do the things that he did. In 2005, Eric was accused of sexually assaulting a lady who had developmental disabilities, but the charges were dropped by the Crown. He was convicted of fraud offenses connected to exploiting that woman financially. This was the first of many warning signs. After this, he needed to reinvent himself. He did this by dropping out of high school and changing his name to Luka Magnotta in 2006. Later, he pursued careers in modeling and escorting and adult entertainment. But this was not enough attention for him. He auditioned for a couple TV shows, one of them including Cover Guy and a show called Plastic Makes Perfect. He was rejected from both immediately. In his interviews, he seems just very arrogant, I think there was even a question that was asked about how he got his voice so deep, and he was just like, practice makes perfect. Yeah. So he had all these fan pages of himself, pictures of him all over around the world. He seemed like the kind of guy that was just always out and about. The pictures were of him in Berlin, Miami, London. But later we find out that he curated all of them. Those photos were photoshopped. He literally took his face and put it on top of someone else's face and didn't even smooth over the colorings of any of it. He created 50 different Facebook profiles, 14 different cities, and so many photos. But who does that? Who has the time for all of that? Magnotta was rumored to be dating Karla Homolka in 2007. Now, Karla Homolka was one of the notorious Ken and Barbie killers in Canada. She's a story for another time, but the summary is that her and her husband killed 3 women, including her own sister. Magnotta went on news TV interviews to say that he was really not dating her, that this rumor just ruined his life, and that people were sending him death threats. But later we find out that he created this rumor. How pathetic. But this was not enough for him. A YouTube link was circulating Facebook called One Boy, Two Cats. Now, I'm going to give a warning before I describe the video. please skip ahead a couple minutes. I'll put the time link right above so you can see where I pick up again. In this video, you can hear Russian voices in the background. And you see these two cute kittens sitting on top of a blanket on a bed. And the blanket is of one of those wolves. It was like one of those thick wolf blankets. And the cats are sitting on top of it. And you can see that he's caressing them, giving them scratches on the head, and just petting them, right? And right next to them is a big vacuum sealed bag. He opens it up and puts both the kittens inside and turns on the vacuum. Now, you can imagine what happens next, but those kittens did not survive. Later on in the video, he does open the bag and he shows you the deceased cats, and that's where the video ends. People were outraged. There's just one rule on the internet. You just don't mess with cats. There are a lot of messed up people on the web. There are a lot of forums that people enjoy these types of videos, but there are groups that don't, and they don't play about it. So a Facebook group was formed to figure out who this person was. Like, where did they live? Where did they come from? Seriously, who was this person that did the things to these cats? So they formed a Facebook group and they went frame by frame by frame by frame to figure out where this person lived, at least the minimum who he was. They found Marlboro cigarettes, and that actual manufacturing label, the warning sign, was only done in North America. They also found the vacuum that was captured in the background. That vacuum was created in North America only. And the sockets and the walls didn't look American, but they weren't of any other origin but from North America. So that dwindled down where this person was. A member of the Facebook group sent a picture of himself with the two cats, and his face was blurred out. Magnotta was toying with them, almost like he was saying, "Come catch me. See if you can catch me." The Facebook group was infiltrated. It meant Magnotta was following the Facebook investigation. A sock puppet account, which basically means an account that you can post one-off things. It doesn't have a picture of yourself or anything like that, and you can delete it. People just do it to stay anonymous. So the sock puppet account messaged them saying that the killer was Luka Magnotta. Well, the Facebook group eventually searched for the name Luka Magnotta online, and they found all these pictures of him. They also found all the fan profile pages that were made of him and YouTube videos that were almost like fan highlights saying that he was awesome, and people were commenting on them about how he was so awesome, so amazing. And it was weird. Like, it was just weird because who was this Luka Magnotta? They were able to figure out that he was in Canada. And the Netflix documentary Don't Fuck with Cats, it did such a great job of going into the deep dive of how exactly they were able to figure out where he was. You definitely should go watch it if you haven't. I didn't when it first came out, and I was so surprised by this case when I heard of it. So maybe I'm late to the party, but it's crazy. So definitely go watch it. Internet sleuths reported him to the authorities, but no one listened since he was killing animals and not humans. So they thought, whatever. But we all know that those are the first signs of sociopathic killers. They usually start with small animals and then move on to bigger things like the elderly or humans. It was frustrating for the Facebook group, and time kept passing on. The group got smaller. And all of a sudden, 2 more videos were uploaded and circulated on Facebook. I'm going to, once again, it's a warning to skip ahead. I'm going to talk about them. So the first video shown was of a cat that was taped to the end of a broomstick. And the background of it was in the bathroom, and the tub was filled up with water. And you pretty much know that he took the broomstick and drowned them. I myself have not seen these videos. I don't think I can stomach it. It's a weakness of mine that I just don't like when killers mess with animals. The second video that was uploaded a couple, not sure if it was days later, was of this cat on the same bed, on the same blanket, and he was playing with it, with kind of giving it a little cuddle, and on the bed next to the cat was a python, and the python ate the cat. The authorities were contacted repeatedly, as these were signs of a serial killer in the making. But once again, they didn't listen. There was an email message sent to one of the members of the group that said, next video was going to be a human, not just pussies. Magnotta posted an ad on Craigslist proposing sex and bondage. Jun Lin was a 33-year-old international student studying computer engineering at Columbia University in Montreal. He had just gone through a horrible breakup, and he figured that this Craigslist ad was a way for him to kind of just get his mind off of things. May 24th, 2012 was the last time he would be seen alive. He was wearing a yellow shirt, shorts, and a baseball hat. Surveillance images show he was with Magnotta that night. A video came out on May 25th, and it was a video the Facebook group was warning others about. The video was called One Lunatic, One Ice Pick. The video depicts Magnotta stabbing him to death with what looks like an ice pick, but in reality, it was actually a screwdriver. He had sexual relations with the man's dead body, and it looked like he was eating pieces of the body and let a puppy into the room and also eat of the body. 3 days later, body parts were sent out to the Liberal and Conservative parties of Canada headquarters in Ottawa, as well as 2 elementary schools in the Vancouver area. Magnotta fled the country to Paris and then to Berlin. Authorities finally put 2 and 2 together that this was Luka. A manhunt started. Can I just say how disgusting he is for everything that he did? I don't mean to laugh, but it's like, I cannot believe someone has a heart to do this to somebody on video. I think one thing is doing it in private, and I know some certain serial killers do it at night, but it's a whole nother to broadcast it and almost be proud of that sort of thing. To me, it's appalling. And I am so sad that this happened to Jun Lin. It shouldn't have happened to anybody. 9 days after the death of Jun Lin, Magnotta went to an internet cafe in Berlin. Now, Magnotta's face was plastered all over the news media, and a customer recognized him and told the cafe employee that was him. The cafe employee went over to him to just make sure. He went to go clean one of the shelves on the side where he was, and that's when he saw Magnotta on the computer looking at one of the wanted pictures of himself. The employee called the authorities, and he was arrested without a fight. He was extradited back to Canada to stand trial. During questioning, he kept saying that Manny did it. Manny was controlling him. Manny was manipulating him to do all these awful things, and that if he didn't do it, that something really bad was going to happen to him. The defense argued that Manny represented parts of Magnotta's psychosis. The prosecution argued Manny was a fictional person and had been invented as an excuse, which was done after the fact. So Magnotta was charged with the following. So first-degree murder of Jun Lin, committing an indignity to a human body, publishing obscene material, mailing obscene and indecent material, and criminally harassment of the Canadian Prime Minister and members of Parliament. He said he was not criminally responsible due to this mental illness. See, the question was never if he committed the murder, since it was clear as day that he did. No, the question was, What was Magnotta's mental state and whether he should be held criminally responsible? In Canadian law, having a mental illness alone does not make someone not criminally responsible. The question is whether the illness prevented him from understanding what he was doing and knowing that it was wrong. And he did know. Magnotta had a planned escape. He had reserved travel tickets, crossed borders, and avoided detection. This suggested conscience of guilt. Evidence shows that he was closely looking at media and coverage during the manhunt, which again prosecutors argued this demonstrated awareness of his actions. And the production of video. The prosecution argued that creating and uploading a video required organization, decision-making, and planning. Because let's be honest, it takes time to create, edit, and post a video online. On December 23, 2014, the jury found Magnotta guilty of first-degree murder and guilty on all other charges. The jury rejected the not criminally responsible defense. Magnotta was sentenced to life imprisonment and no possibility of parole for 25 years. In Canada, that means that he can first apply for parole in 2037, but that parole is not guaranteed. Friends of Jun Lin described him as friendly, gentle, intelligent, and ambitious. He maintained close ties with his family and friends in China, even though he was living abroad. The family made the decision to bury Lin in Canada because it was the land he loved the most, and he could now rest in peace in his favorite city. And that's the thread I'll leave with you. Not the man who spent his life chasing attention, but the man whose life deserves so much more. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe.